With FNaF coming to Halloween Horror Nights this year, this made me think of something. Will it be better than the other FNaF mazes that have existed in the past? Who knows, maybe it will be, maybe it won't. But anyways, I want to take a look back at some of the past FNaF haunted mazes that have existed in recent years. So, yeah, let's get into it. So, obviously, the first one I've got to talk about is the maze at Fright in 2016. This was the first FNaF haunted maze ever. So basically what Fright was an event that was hosted at Circus from 2003 to 2018, and it basically was a whole event for haunted mazes. Anyways, back to FNaF. I think it's really surprising that we got a maze for FNaF this early, because the first game was only like 2 years old at this point. This maze even got its own advertising on billboards and t-shirts. Anyways, let's start talking about the maze itself. So, when you first enter the maze, you start outside and you see the Help Wanted picture from the start of the game, and you walk through like this huge hallway with vines, and then you make it to the front of the pizzeria where you see Freddy Fazbear, like a full-on suit, which is really cool to see. Then you enter the pizzeria, which is very stylized from the original game. I mean, obviously, the layout of the pizzeria doesn't really lend itself to working for a haunted house. So yeah, there are some scenes that are from the actual game, like the stage, Pirates Cove, The Office, but for the most part, a lot of it is just stylized. Which, don't get me wrong, I think it's cool how they managed to find a way to get to work like a haunted house. Also, throughout the maze, there are like these pictures on the wall that's like the camera, and it shows what time you're at, which I think is a really cool little detail they put in. There is something that confused me about this maze though, which is that, well, there's no scares. It kind of feels just more like a walkthrough attraction. There aren't even any like actors or anything. I was expecting it to be like the suits on stage and there would be like some actors inside of some of them. Obviously I wasn't expecting there to be like any human actors. The closest thing to a scare in this attraction is like when you're walking past a ball pit and like a burst of air causes like some balls to pop out. But that's not really much of a scare at all. Maybe I'm the only one who's really thinking this. I mean, I just find it confusing because there are actual live actors at this event that try to scare you. Anyways. There's also two parts throughout this maze where it's like you have to walk through these hallways that are made up of like inflated airbags, and it kind of reminds me of like being inside of like a deflated bounce house. I don't like those types of hallways and mazes where you have to like squeeze very tightly or crouch to get through it, because that would be bad, especially if you have like a disability or some sort of handicap. I have been on a maze like this before, but it's not like the hallways in this maze. But besides that, I still think this attraction is really good, and it still kind of holds up pretty well today. I mean, this was like an amazing thing to have at the time, because this was the earliest FNaF attraction ever, like I mentioned earlier. Also, if anyone was wondering, no, I've not been on this maze. I was 6 when this maze first debuted, so yeah. I really wish I could have gone this though. Eventually, at the end of the maze, you see a giant 6 a.m. sign implying that you have won. Now, like I said, this is a really cool thing for us FNaF fans to have at the time. This is also where those images of the YouTubers with Scott Cawthon came from. Anyways, next maze I've got to talk about is the attraction in Saudi Arabia. This maze was located in a shopping center called Boulevard City, and there were 2 different versions, one which was based on the first game, and a second one based on Security Breach. But we're going to talk about the first one first. So, the first one opened in 2024, and while there is no footage of it, there are some photos, and we do get to see this facade with all the characters, which I think looks pretty cool. It's got like the movie logo. Bonnie does look a bit interesting though. I mean, it's the unwithered model for some reason. There's also an endoskeleton, TVs that say "We are watching you," and weird bootleg plushies. Also, outside of the attraction, there is someone wearing a puppet mascot suit that is on like stilts, and it looks really cool, honestly. I don't think this character actually appears in the maze, but yeah, this is a pretty cool thing to see outside. Okay, so remember I said there was no recordings of the maze? Well, I was wrong. I actually did find a recording of the maze by the Anime Men. Honestly, I think this one looks much better than the Fright Dome, because this one actually has scares in it. And while I think the costumes in the Fright Dome do look a bit better, that, like I said, there are scares in this one, which makes it a lot better. This maze is kind of similar to Fright Dome, except there are a lot of scenes that are different and that kind of have a lot more detail to them. There's also, like, I think, like, you can interact with them by, like, shining your because you get a flashlight and I think you shine it at them to, like, stun it or something, which, I mean, this maze did not need to have something interactive, but that is really cool. This maze also has a lot of what I like to call mannequin scares, which is basically where you're in a room where it looks like there are a lot of people that are about to scare you, but only a few of them are actually real and the others aren't. Also, I don't know why this is here, but in some parts in the maze, you walk through these hallways where it looks like you're in an old house. Maybe it's supposed to be like the FNaF or something, but it's just so random, especially in this room where it's like a ball pit. Still though, I do think this is pretty neat for being an unofficial maze. And I'm saying like that because at the end of the video, they did speak with the creators, and apparently they developed it with Scott Cawthon. So maybe it's not entirely unofficial? I mean, I guess. Anyways, now it's time to get to talking about the security breach version. The facade to this one looks a lot better. The main 4 Glamrock animatronics look pretty good, I think. We've also got 2 wet floorboards and a screen that is showing security breach gameplay footage. There's also these bootleg Glamrock Chica and Freddy plushies, because why not? Similar to Pup in the first one, there's a moon costume in this one too. This one's also on stilts, and he is like kinda scarily tall. This is really cool, and I think he roams like outside like Puppet, obviously. Yeah, I just think it looks like really good, like very accurate. In the maze itself, you do get to go through a lot of the iconic locations from the game. Like there's the lobby, there's the daycare, there's the green rooms, just a lot of the cool locations. And then of course there's the characters too, which I think look pretty good. My favorite is probably Monty because I think he looks like 1-to-1 accurate. This maze also seems to be somewhat based on Ruin, because there are some parts that do look like they're from Ruin. There's also Eclipse who appears in this maze, and there's like a static figure of Burn Trap in the room. I think this Eclipse costume looks pretty cool. I think both look really good, but if I had to pick one, I'd definitely say the security breach one looks better. I would really like to visit this attraction, but it is pretty far from California. Anyways, that now brings us to 2025, where FNaF is coming to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios in Orlando and Hollywood. This was something I was kinda expecting for them to do last year, because obviously it was the 10th anniversary, but you know what, I'm glad they are finally doing it. If you didn't know by now, the mazes are going to be based off the movies, which I find kinda strange because like the past video game mazes that they've done at this event have all been directly based off the games and like not the films. They're also doing Fall this year, which is gonna be based on the show too. But yeah, I feel like the movie is definitely a better option for it because like there's a lot more character interaction, I think, which works more for an HHN maze. So yeah, I'm really excited for this event this year. I'm a big HHN fan, To be honest, it's the only event I'm actually really familiar with on this list. There looks like there's going to be some cool merch. We've seen some leaks for the set. Yeah, I just think it's going to be really cool this year that FNaF is finally coming to HHN. So yeah, that was it for today's video. Just a little recap of some of the past haunted houses that there have been for FNaF. Just thought I'd do this with HHN coming this year. So yeah, looking forward to this year. I think it's going to be pretty cool. Oh yeah, so by the way, I saw in my Game Tunes video, there were a lot of comments asking me to talk about like more content farmers, and I'm sorry to say, but that was the only one I really planned on doing. Like, I'm not going to do any more content farm retrospectives. Sorry to anyone who wanted that. So yeah, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.